All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning.
This
This is a regular meeting of the Fire and Public Safety Commission, and it is Thursday, June 18th, 2026, and the time is 10 o'clock. I'm Gordon McGillis, Chair of the Commission, and I call this meeting to order. To begin, pursuant to the Sunshine Rule, we will do a quick roll call, and I would ask each commissioner to please indicate your name, where you are, and whether anyone is present with you at your location. Starting with Vice Chair Keone Ball.
Present at Station 10.
Commissioner Dale Parsons.
Present in my home office in Hana.
Thank you. Commissioner Montalvo.
I am present at Kāhakuloa Station.
Commissioner Green.
I am present at my home office alone.
Thank you. Commissioner Pele is traveling for work today and is not able to join us. Moving to Commissioner Hebro. I see you. I know you're there.
He's muted.
Can you unmute him from this side? Let's try it again. Commissioner Hebro.
Can you hear us, Daryl?
I'm muted.
Can you send him a note in the chat? Can't hear us.
My audio is very garbled.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm Commissioner Gillis, present at Station 10. And from the Fire Department, who do we have with us here today?
Morning, Chair. Here at Maui Fire Station, myself, Chief Fujioka, Chief Otsubo, Chief Ed Lau, and our guest speaker, and also sitting in for operations today is Chief Kino. Michelle is off camera.
Thank you, Chief. And do we have anyone from Maui Emergency Management Agency online with us this morning?
He isn't attempting to get linked in here.
Okay. And from Corporation Counsel?
Hello, Chair. Luna Nokala, Deputy Corporation Counsel, in my office.
Thank you. Michelle, if you could let us know if and when Maui Emergency Management Agency. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. The minutes before us are the regular meeting of Thursday, May 21st, 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
A motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Montalvo,
Second, Ball.
seconded by Commissioner Ball. Any discussions or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, Chair, I have a couple questions about corrections. When it came to approving the minutes last time, you say there's a unanimous, it passes unanimously, but you did not vote. There's no, you don't say aye. So did you say aye?
I think you excused yourself. I think I excused myself from the vote.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
That's just from memory, but
Okay. Thank you. And then when you nominated Commissioner Ball, there's a blank there. I think it's a foregone conclusion that you did nominate Commissioner Ball.
Correct.
That's in frame number 10, the last line. I don't know if we want to add that. Because it goes, I would like to nominate, and then it's blank. And then it goes on with Commissioner Dale and I checking out in 10 months. There may be some wisdom in having some continuity there. So I just think we ought to add who you nominated.
So
It's apparent after that, but
So the minutes from today's meeting,
are,
the minutes from today's meeting will reflect that I nominated Commissioner Ball. And so unless we want to amend the minutes, that's something we can do, Michelle.
I can. I just would have to review that last recording to make sure that it was clear in there.
I think, if you don't mind, Chair,
Sure.
I think we can, just add it in, and
Yeah.
because
Okay.
as she's, pointed out, it does continue, and he does accept the nomination on record.
Okay. And the minutes from today's meeting will reflect the discussion and the gap in the minutes from last meeting. I guess my recommendation would be to approve the minutes as is with the addition of today's discussion to document it for future.
so do we need a new motion to that effect? Do we need to?
I
have
think
a
if
new
we
motion?
just, we allow the amendment. Just go for it.
I think why don't we do a fresh motion? A motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting minutes with the exception or the clarification that there was a gap in the minutes and it didn't clearly identify the nomination of Keone Ball for vice chair, and that the minutes infer it, as well as the minutes of this meeting will clarify it for all of history. So can I get a fresh motion to approve?
Okay, Commissioner Montalvo, I'll motion that.
Commissioner Montalvo,
Second, Ball.
seconded by Commissioner Ball. And any further discussion?
I just want to recognize Chair Commissioner Green that for pointing that out and
Yes.
getting that cleaned up.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Green? Yep.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
that.
Great. All right, let's do a roll call vote then. Starting with Vice Chair Ball,
Aye.
Commissioner Dale Parsons,
Aye.
Commissioner Montalvo,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Febro,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well. The motion is unanimous. The motion passes. Moving on to item 4, public testimony on agenda items. Members of the public, as you know, are aware, welcome to testify. And I would just like to check in with Rochelle. At this point, do we have any testifiers?
No.
Okay. Hearing no further requests to testify, no objection, I will close public testimony on agenda items. And of course, Rochelle, if anyone arrives and wishes to testify, please let us know. The next item on our agenda is item 5, and I'm going to just change it a little bit to the recognition of outgoing Vice Chair Dale Parsons. And this is a special order of business that gives me a real pleasure, and on behalf of the Fire and Public Safety Commission, I really want to take a moment to recognize and thank Commissioner Dale Parsons, who has served as Vice Chair of this commission, for his dedication to this body and to the people of Maui County. Dale has served on this commission, including his time as Vice Chair representing East Maui and the Hana community, with steadiness and good judgment throughout. Dale has always put the work and the integrity of this body first. I'll note in particular his willingness to step in and preside when impartiality called for it and when he was ever needed. He has consistently chosen what was right for the commission over what was easy. That kind of quiet, dependable leadership is exactly what this commission has needed. In recognition of his service as Vice Chair, we have prepared a letter of appreciation co-signed by Mayor Bisson, Chief Ventura, and Administrator Molokaʻi Hewitt, along with a certificate of recognition from this commission. And Dale, on behalf of all of us, thank you. It's been an honor to have you as our Vice Chair, as you served in that position. I would like to, I'm not going to read the letter, but I will read the certificate. Is that in the packet?
Chair?
Yes.
That's because, yeah, Dale is not leaving us, is he? This is just,
No,
okay.
I sure hope not. So I'm just going to sort
I
of
feel like this is my eulogy.
I'm just going to hold this up, and Dale, we've ordered this a frame for this, and it's been delayed. So, but I'd like to read it, and then I'll pass it around so you can all see it. But it basically says, proudly presented to Commissioner Dale Parsons, in recognition of distinguished service as Vice Chair of the Maui County Fire and Public Safety Commission during one of the most consequential periods in our county's history. In the aftermath of the August 2023 Lahaina wildfires, the Commission's oversight responsibilities took on a weight that few who serve in this capacity have ever been asked to carry prior. With the steady judgment, principled leadership, and unwavering commitment shown in service to the Commission, the Maui Fire Department, to the Maui Emergency Management Agency, and to the people of Maui County, this certificate is gracefully presented. And it says presented on the 18th day of June in the year 2026, signed by Mayor Bisson, myself on behalf of the Commission, and Fire Chief Ventura, and the Administrator of the Maui Emergency Management Agency. So thank you very much, Dale. And I just want to say the floor is yours if you'd like to say anything.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. This is a great commission. We've got a great group in the fire department. I mean, I would venture to say that we probably have the best leadership of any fire department in the country. And I've talked to a lot of people around the country that are just amazed by what they see coming out of this department, especially after what it's been through in the last few years. Lesser departments, I'm sure, would have had a lot of problems recovering. And this department, the chief, everybody here, all of you never missed a step. And it's been onward and upward from there. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to not only be on the commission, but to be a part of as vice chair of the commission for that period of time. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Chair. I appreciate it, Chief. And life is good.
Thank you, sir. I just want to ask if any commissioners or chief or anybody has any comments that they would like to add.
I think you've said it all.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you, Commissioner Parsons. And we're not done yet.
Nope.
Nope.
Where are we going on?
So, okay, great. Thanks. Moving on to our next item is the salary commission recommendations. And we did cover off that on our last meeting. So that was
confirmed that it was permitted to the salary
Right.
commission. And then MEMA, Kono Davis is here.
Okay, great. So let the minutes reflect that Kono Davis is here from Maui Emergency Management Agency. All right. We'll now turn to the Maui Emergency Management Agency. And Mr. Davis, if you take it away, go for it.
Hello, everybody. This is Kono Davis, Deputy Administrator. I apologize. I am at the new EOC. I thought it would be really cool to be here and, do the report out since we had some training going on and there's some internet issues going on. So, maybe I should change my background so you guys can actually see that I'm here. Would there be any chance I could get 5 minutes to get my thing going?
Sure.
You're gonna take it off.
Let's do that.
Yeah, give me about 5 minutes. I should have my laptop ready to go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Chair,
Yes. Mr. Green.
could I maybe use this pause to bring up something that I was going to bring up later? But this is, in our last meeting, we had Tanner Moser, who came and spoke to us about the pay level for the people in the lower ranked people in the fire department. And I just felt like we didn't continue on with his concerns. And and ever since we've been talking about arbitration, et cetera, I have had a question, and this is for you, Chief Ventura. I just always kind of suspected you are in a difficult position because you are obligated to represent both the firemen who are under you, as well as you're responsible to the county in trying to manage costs. And it just has occurred to me that this must be a very difficult walk. And so that's one part of this. And the other part is, do we at any point in time want to take up the issue that Tanner brought up about how can we help? Because I do think it's a travesty that they are, if you take the COLA adjustment, they're under 40% of national.
We're gonna have an agenda item.
And so I don't know if there's anything we can do or what you all recommend, but I just kind of felt like he came and gave the testimony, and then we're having so many audio problems. We didn't really, I must have left feeling like, okay, why did I say anything? Because we didn't really respond to his request. So it doesn't need to be an agenda item now, but perhaps we want to cover that at a future meeting.
Okay. I also see Corp Counsel's hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for sunshine law purposes, we can't discuss this at this time. It needs an agenda item to discuss, or it can be sent as thought for future agendizing, but it needs an agenda item so that the public has notice of the discussion and deliberations.
Yeah, no, my intention was not to make it part of this meeting, but to bring it up for future meetings.
So just to follow up, I did have a conversation. I spoke with Tanner for over an hour after our last meeting, and just to find a little bit more about what some of the issues and concerns were. And it's the case is still being discussed there's been something filed with the Industrial Relations Board. There's a process that's kind of sort of unfolding. So there's been some, I think there's nothing that's been definitive as far as I understand at this point. But certainly, I heard his concerns and I guess, Chief, do you want to add anything to that?
I think you're spot on, and I think we can have a deeper discussion as Corporation Council recommended if we do put it as an agenda item, just to explain the process to everybody, and that way everybody knows what their potential role is or non-role is in the arbitration and negotiation process.
Chair, if I may, I just want to just point out the fact that it's different. The salary from the chiefs that comes from the counties, and in this case, our recommendation, our letter to the salary commission is a separate issue from the firefighters who their negotiations, and as you pointed out, it's still ongoing. So, we still support the chiefs and their, whatever the salary commission.
And I think, my understanding is it's handled on a state level.
The firefighters, yes.
The firefighters. So in many ways, it's sort of out of the county's jurisdiction.
Yes.
As well. Not to say that there's nothing we can't do, but it wouldn't be our primary. Like we can do a deeper dive into it in our next meeting, and we'll add that to the agenda.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Montalvo. I think last time you were trying to explain to the nuances here on how these negotiations go, but I do feel we need to pursue this further. So thank you.
So Chair, just to finish up on that, we still need to let the courts run from the union courts and what they have going on with their injunctions and suits, whatever. So we'll let that play itself out before we get involved in it.
Great.
At that point in time, is it kind of a fait accompli though, or no?
Question.
We're not talking about it, we're talking about it.
For another time.
For another time. Thank you. All right. Mr. Davis, it's all yours.
Mahalo for giving me the time to reconnect. Yeah, we're currently here at the new EOC, working out the bugs. There's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of technology in the room. You guys did a tour, did you not?
No.
Not yet. Oh, okay. I'll give you a sneak peek then, real quick. This will be the front. Can you see?
Wow.
So this
Yeah,
is it just has a bunch of MEMA logos right now, but that's where all the SA is going to be. The room is way bigger, way more comfortable for all of you to come and, make those big decisions. But yeah, we are currently dealing with a leaking roof, which has shut down some of our connectivity and working out some of the bugs. Anyway, without further ado, the report for May for the Maui Emergency Management Agency. All right, sorry, there's people in the room. Our highlights for this month is we did host our annual Preparedness Expo at the Queen Kahumanu Shopping Center. We had about 40 partners that were participating. We didn't realize that the covering at Kahumanu Shopping Center was being renovated, so it rained that day, and it rained on about half of our partners, but everybody was in good spirits. And we had about 300 plus community members show up to that event. We also had a workshop that was put together with Human Services, American Red Cross, and our county departments, like Parks Department, Mimo was there. We had some from the managing department to learn about sheltering and to increase our capacity for sheltering capability on Maui. Right now, we are having a little bit of a struggle with American Red Cross. I think they're going to revamp their system so that they can be more available. But in the meantime, we have some training so we can start standing up our own shelters here in Maui County. We still have not filled the position of Chief Secretary yet. We do have a secretary that is from the MEO that is part-time right now filling in, but she is not a permanent position. I believe we have one more interview for Deputy Administrator Lonokailua Hewitt's secretary position, and hopefully we can choose soon. That position is very important. As Chief knows, his secretaries are very important in scheduling and keeping him on track. We are currently reorganizing for FY27. It's in the second reading right now. And council adopted the budget, so look like we're good to go with the reorg. Were we able to send you down our potential reorganization chart yet? Not yet. Well, we'll make sure it comes down in the next report. So we'll be partnering with the Hawaii Department of Labor and Industrial Relations through its Workforce Development Division, Senior Service Program, and make temporary part-time hire. That is actually like what we have right now. And I think we're going to continue with that to fill the gaps that we often seem to be having when people leave and it takes forever to rehire. So we're going to start to entertain that avenue, which is available to us right now. So we have our isolated communities, Molokaʻi division with their vehicle that was just finished with the lift and the markings, as well as the lights and radio system installed, sent over. So our ISOCOM staff specialist on Molokaʻi is very happy today. The one for Lanai is having some problems with electrical. And so when it went over to Harmer, it came back, it couldn't start. So it's over at the dealership right now, and our ISOCOM specialist on Lanai, not so happy. All of the ISOCOM staff specialists are transitioned away from the DM89 position. So we have all full-time ISOCOM specialists, which is a good thing. So we are still trying to incorporate a reserve corps. So some of us and some of you there sitting around that table could potentially come and work during activations in a reserve corps capacity. And I believe it's essential to keep the level of experience within the agency up. As you all know, all you white shirts sitting around the table, you bring value to this community. And when you retire, like Chief Montalvo, and congratulations, Mr. Parsons, not only on your retirement, but your award. you bring value when you come back and you bring your experience and your emergency response minds to the table. So we think this it's a valuable effort to try and pursue, and we are really close. Finalized with Corp Counsel and finance, so we're just trying to put together the pieces so that we can get some policy and whatnot together, and we're going to start bringing in some Reserve Corps. I'm excited for that. So our CEMP, or Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, has been submitted to the mayor's office. We approved it. It's now in the mayor's hands for signature. All of our other plans currently are finalized and waiting for the CEMP to be approved so that we can start exercising and connecting with our partners to do some tabletops and find out if we need to refine them any further. The month of May had 3 activation at level 3, enhanced steady state. So we monitor a special weather event May 15 and 16, and then potential HECO PSPS, which was May 21st to the 22nd, and then brush fire and Kula on the 22nd. We have increased steadily with our subscriptions for Mimo alerts, and I thank our external affairs team for continuing to push out the information and at our events to always ask for people to subscribe to Mimo alerts and Genesis Protect. Currently, we're at 29,331 subscribers. This month, the siren report came out. 75 out of 83 were heard. 3 sirens right now are currently not operational. We did meet with several partners this month. International Code Council with the WUI Code, and I know some of you know about that. It did go to the mayor, and I believe the mayor approved seeking the WUI Code. I'm not sure how. Yeah, all good. I see Chief with the thumbs up. Nice. And then we've been working with the Small Business, or SBA Association, since the flooding. They've been here in droves. They've been on Molokaʻi, they've been on Maui, all over the place. They're helping out the best they can. I think we have to push out a little bit more education for the public into how they work, because it's a little tricky, and people, they don't want to make loans for anything, let alone something that was damaged at their home. So anyways, we're going to try and see how we can collaborate with them to push out a little bit more public information regarding that for future events. We did connect with the Hana Energy Partnership, HECO, HEMA, and ICF as well. We are trying to coordinate with more businesses so that we can bring in the business sector and potentially create a business EOC, which will help make this emergency management effort a little bit more robust here on our island in the middle of the Pacific. We are continuing on with mitigation efforts. We had to go for a budget amendment for funding for 2 wildfire risk reduction projects for the county parcels. One, Holomua Road, which has been part of Council Member Nohe Hodgins' kind of like pet peeve for a while. I'm glad we got to get moving on it, and as well as Cut Mountain, which is right before the bypass going to Lahaina. Isolated communities again. We're still trying to secure offices for them. We're closer than before, but still it's not something solid and something that is permanent. So we're still working with our partners, county partners, private, state, to find out solutions for office space for our isolated community staff specialists. So right now we have several containers that have been shipped out to the isolated community, and they're going to start to fit it with supplies for those staff specialists as well as emergency supplies. And so we thank Chief for allowing us to still have the container at Kāhakuloa Fire Station, and we hope to be in our own property soon, so we can at least put our containers down and maybe make a temporary office out of them. But that is still ongoing. We do want to connect with the chiefs at some time to, now that they have the equipment and the vehicles that they can be out in the field with for Hana, Lanai, and Molokaʻi, if there's any input from you all at the fire department regarding if there is anything that they could help with in those areas. I know there's no battalion chiefs on those sides, so if there's some kind of connectivity that needs to happen, we have Starlinks, we have drones, we have generators, lights, whatever needed for an ICP if you need. But let's have that conversation sometime soon. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Let's see here. So East Maui, there's some coordination efforts going on with the Maui Nui Storm Relief Fund and some other entities out there on the east side to help build resilience, especially after the recent storms that took out power, food supply, water supply to the east end of the island. And so we're trying to build a robust, resilient type of structure out there for them, which includes someone that can actually turn on the generator from Hawaiian Electric Company when the road is blocked and you can't get out there to turn it on. Again, more coordination with SBA and FEMA out there. Same with Molokaʻi as well. And our new staff specialist, her name is Akaneki Lin. She is amazing out there in Hana on the east end. She does really good work. The community respects her and loves her. And she is doing an amazing job reaching out to entities, building resiliency, allowing us to have good SA in the area where we did not have before. And it's just getting better and better. And she always had a vehicle out there. It was an older one. But and so she's happy too. We talked about Molokaʻi quite a bit. The only difference is that Haima had a meeting to go over the health of the Sirens Molokaʻi and how we can implement more Sirens. That is still ongoing. Let's see. Everybody know who Ron Davis is? Dale Parsons, I think you know who he is. Anyway, he was a former fire chief here on Maui. He was the fire chief probably right after I got in the department. And he lives on Molokaʻi, and he is leading an effort regarding tiny homes for some of the displaced families, mainly in the agricultural and farmland area. They also did participate in the Red Cross training. Our staff specialist came over to Maui to get that training as well, so they could take it back to Molokaʻi. Let's see. Human Services branch
MEMA and the mayor celebrated Southwest Airlines' contribution to Maui through their partnership with the Maui United Way. And I'm not sure if you all know, but the Maui United Way is pretty instrumental in collaborating with MEMA and taking on projects and funding projects. We currently have our Human Services Branch Director funded by the Maui United Way. And he's a great asset to the company. Hopefully we can transition him to a full-time position soon. I think that comes up in September. Excuse me. He is constantly attending meetings, connecting with partners, and making an effort to assure that our shelters, our facilities are all up to par with what it says in these documents. We've come to realize that the square footage of our shelters are based off of the entire square footage of the building instead of the usable floor space. So we have to revamp the capacity of our shelters, and he's going out with his roller measure and confirming that for us. So hopefully in the next month or two, we'll be able to get an accurate number for the capacity regarding our shelters here in Maui, which includes DOE as well. We've been training constantly. We've been training here at this EOC as well as the old one and out in the field. We did have a hybrid CERT class just concluded out on the East End with 5 staff members from MEMA and previous staff members from MEMA who run CERT went out and did the community excuse me, the community education on CERT, and so we have a little bit better CERT presence out on the East End. We're hoping to reach a 10,000 number mark. That's what the chief or the administrator initially put out as a goal for us. It's a very daunting task for CERT, and we're still plugging away, and I can't give you the number that we have now, but it was somewhere around 1,200 trained CERT members. We're still looking for some positions within our planning section, as well as our logistics section. If you know anybody, please have them apply. We just had Cap Eric Newhart, who was a retired firefighter. His last day was what was his last day? This week? The 12th. On the 12th. We're sad to see him go. He was a big asset for us here. Let's see. So our core competency training program has been going well. We have our DPO section that has been ongoing with trainings with the county that's been bringing back training into the agency. Excuse me. We also have consultants from Tetra Tech that's been coming and helping us with training, and our training officer has been putting together the the basic ICS trainings, as well as I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
Mr. Davis,
Hi.
just in the sort of spirit of honoring where you are at this point, not feeling so well, if you want to sort of summarize anything just that you think we really need to know And then, you have my permission, not that you need it, not that I have the authority to give it, but to go home and get well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, we're almost there. So I put a little sucker in my mouth. Hopefully that'll help with my dry throat. Just to summarize, in efforts to transition over to the new EOC, we've been making sure that all of our sections are firing and are bringing in good products and good work. Our external affairs division is constantly out in our public and providing information, not only for preparedness, but for what services are provided through our agency. Our planning and operations section today, they're here with logistics, and they're collaborating and figuring out the best way to make this new EOC work. And collaborating with partners like Kamehameha Schools, large land owners, as well as Mahi Pono and Maui Pine to create MOUs so that we could have access to their land. Oh my gosh, so sorry. For temporary staging areas and emergency evacuation routes. We do have an effort to promote not only MEMA, but the county in its preparedness efforts, which includes the fire department, police department, and the other response agencies here in Maui. Our hazard mitigation section is constantly moving and looking for areas to remove those hazards. As you may know from the past report, that we've identified 10 parcels, county parcels, and 5 major corridors that we're going to focus on for the next fiscal year in our hazard mitigation efforts for wildfire, fuel reduction, and ignition reduction. I just want to close with saying thank you for allowing me to talk to you guys today, and I really apologize for the coughing fits that's going on. I'm not going to go home, but I will try and take care of my cough a little bit better. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Do the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Davis?
Yes, I do. Commissioner Paraboro. Kono, I just have a quick question. Other than the regular hurricane season coming up, preparations that we do here for Maui Nui as a whole, with this whole, alert of the super El Nino coming and its effects, is there anything that you see that we may be lacking for not only Maui Island, but, Lanai, Molokaʻi as well, on top of the preparations that we're already doing? And I understand with your cough, no need to answer today, but again, if we can get, some sort of either update or, are we in that process? Where are we? Or has it been started to review yet, even though we're not completely there, even though it started June 1st?
No, absolutely. We've been having meetings with the National Weather Service across the state, and coming together with our other emergency management agency partners to come up with some plans on how we can address this kind of scary hurricane season. We just experienced some back-to-back storms that that showed us that we are very vulnerable here. And so we are identifying areas for areas of refuge in concrete buildings so that we can push that information out to the public, as well as fortifying our evacuation routes and pre-positioning heavy equipment so that we can keep those routes clear and open, not only for people to get in and out or out, but also for our emergency responders so they can respond to these various locations. And we all know that if we get hit statewide, then resources are scarce, and we got to be able to have a resilient Maui Nui, which includes the people that are here to be safe so that they can work for our community. We may have a better report for you in the next report, but that's the focus for us right now.
Mahalo, thank you.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Parsons.
Kono, as far as that generator out here in Hana, I live a few blocks from it. So if you need a backup person to go over there, just let me know. I can do it, or my son. That's not a big deal. We're right here. And whenever it goes on, we hear it.
Yeah, that's actually a HECO responsibility and resource. I believe, are you electrician?
I don't know union wise what could be done if I'm needed in an emergency. Sure.
We'll inquire about that for sure.
Okay.
But I believe it needs to be a HECO employee, but we'll actually ask them about that. Got a resource out there ready to flip that switch.
That's right.
Commissioner
Great
Gills
report,
has a
by the way.
question for you about the CEMP. Do you have any idea what the expected signature date is for that? And is anything on sort of operationally on hold pending that signature?
I am unsure once the document goes up to the mayor's office how long it takes. But I'm sure that if it's going to take longer than a couple more days or so, we will, request a status update. But right now it's not stalling or hampering any of our efforts. It'll just be a little bit more easy for us to collaborate with partners, but with showing them the document so that we can start refining it. And, it was just us and Tetra Tech that had eyes on it, I believe, so far. And so we'd like to introduce it to our partners so that they can make comments on it and we can refine it. Once we have it signed by the mayor, then we can start to do our normal periodic updates to the document, and we'll collaborate with our partners for that.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Davis? Thank you again for the report and for pushing through it, and hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Moving on to the fire department.
All right. Good morning. And, some of our information overlaps with MEMA because we've been involved in them a lot. But I'm going to first cover the several handouts that are in your packet, and you don't have to follow along every single one. I'll just speak briefly on them. But there were 2 proclamations that came out in April and May. Chair Gillis kind of spearheaded the International Firefighter Day proclamation, and then the month after we did the Water Safety Awareness Day for our ocean safety across the state. These are kind of multi-leveled importance. One, to recognize what our employees do and show them that they're appreciated, but also it's public education. The more awareness we can put out there for the public to be safe, especially as we go into the summer months, the beaches are getting busier, and then our drought and hurricane season, it just kind of prompts people to pay a little bit more attention. So those are the first 2. There's a handout that covers our NextGen program, which is like our Firefighter Explorer program or a recruitment program for the firefighters. We've had junior lifeguards for decades, and it's been a good feeder program for the lifeguards. And so now just this year, we're starting with 3 different sessions, 1 summer, 1 fall on Maui, and then 1 on Molokaʻi this summer as well, to try to get some of the youth interested in becoming firefighters. So that is our first go at it, and we're kind of starting off with a small bite, and then we'll modify and adapt the program to make it better every single year. The next handout was the Wildfire and Drought Lookout. Again, public education, just keeping people aware that We're expecting some hurricanes, but we're also expecting very dry through December overall. And so that's going to add to our wildfire potential in Maui County. The last handout is the blue one. It's our finance snapshot that we provide for you folks. Overall, successful year as far as staying within the budget. The payroll for all 5 programs is healthy. The operation expenses are more than likely going to get us through June. What we're holding on to, as we do every June, is funding for our helicopters, bulldozers, because June we know starts to dry up, and we could spend a large amount of money there at the very end of the year. And then our equipment, as I mentioned, we try to shoot for 100%. These are April's numbers at 94, and I think I just saw like the June 10th numbers. We're at about 98%. So our equipment is pretty well spent this year on executing all the purchases that we intended to as this fiscal year budget started. So those are the handouts. My report is going to cover April and May, and you know, we got to kind of go back to March to talk about what we did as far as working on storm-related repairs. We did have some damage to our facilities in March, and so we're working with the finance department with some emergency funding to take care of some roof repairs and such. April 6th was a big day for us. It seems like eons ago, but we went before county council to justify our budget and kind of get grilled on the questions that they had interest regarding our budget. The annual captains meeting, which we bring in about 60 of our captains from the whole county, happened in April as well. And we brought in a leadership speaker to speak to the captains. Anytime we can incorporate leadership into any of our sessions, we try to do that. There's something we can learn from everybody. The Olowalu Fire Station did receive official permission from the Maui Planning Commission to receive the special use permit for that property out in Olowalu. So they'll be continuing to move that project forward. And I did spend about 3 days in Washington, D.C. meeting with our senators and House of Representatives to talk about some of the initiatives from the Western Fire Chiefs perspective, as well as some of our congressional direct spending requests that we, Maui County Fire Department, put into them. So sometimes FaceTime is better than just sending, you know, a letter or an application. And so we'll see how that turns out later this year. Mayor Bisson hosted a 1-day leadership seminar for all directors and deputies. So we spent a day with all of the different department directors and deputies, and a leadership program that was kind of reduced down to 1 day, but was given to all of us. And it was valuable, good networking, good information, good reiteration of the things that are working in today's workforce. One of the things that's kind of been on our conversation is that Hawaiian Electric has wanted to provide us with some mobile cameras that will hook up to the Alert West system. So it's taken us several months to finally get it approved, but council did finally vote yes after we got the MOU and the language all ironed out. So we'll be able to deploy those cameras hopefully this summer to areas that fires are happening or have happened, so that we can continue to monitor them after the fire. Another key action item from our after action report was to continue working with the FirstNet Authority and AT&T to enhance the cellular capabilities here in Maui County. We have taken possession of equipment that creates cell service, and we have them located in Lanai, Molokaʻi, and here on Maui. And as Kono was talking earlier, FEMA's in Molokaʻi helping with the recovery of the flooding, and we've been deploying these cell devices for them to use over the last month to kind of enhance the cell service in their work area. So we've been putting them to work already. The State Fire Council, when we met last month, we went over the bills that passed legislation, And we're just kind of waiting for governor to finish signing them all, so we know what really made laws and what were vetoed by him. Nothing really earth-shattering on the legislative front, just more cancer presumptive language, some protection, some enhancements to the fire marshal, kind of job description and duties, and then some other little things that we were working on to clean up language in state legislation. That is my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions for Chief Ventura?
Question. The budget for 27. Did we receive full from yes?
So FY 27's budget, we got a few things knocked off, but not complete items. It was more like a slight salary adjustment that will probably be able to survive based on vacancies. But all the equipment and the expansion positions that we asked for made it through mayor and council. Second reading was last week, and so that should return back to mayor for final signature here shortly.
Any other questions for Chief Ventura? All right. And over now to
Chair, I
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I would like to tell Chief Ventura that I had an experience, unfortunately, had to call in the EMTs and the fire department came. And I just want to compliment Jack Smith and his team on their professional behavior. And it was really, really wonderful. And not only that, he followed up later that day with a phone call. So I was really impressed.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. All right, cool. So yours.
Alrighty. Good morning, commissioners. I'll go over my report as Chief Ventura did. This covers April and May. Starting off with the interviews, department interviews and promotions. We had a little bit of movement last couple months. We promoted our fire service information officer. So basically, he is our department PIO, and we had some unexpected retirement. So we got to promote our captains, our firefighter threes. And then also we'll welcome a new mechanic to our family. So he started a couple months ago. Safety specialist, we selected a candidate. He ended up turning it down, selected another candidate. He was not able to make the move to Maui from another island. So we are back recruiting for this position again. So we'll be revisiting the interview process for the safety specialist 2 position. Moving on to our apparatus, you guys know we received a bunch of vehicles recently and over the last couple months. I did travel to Texas for a final inspection on 2 more of our mini brush trucks, which they have arrived today. They came in today. Also preparing our specifications with my team for our FY 27 vehicles. So come July 1st, we're going to be moving on our big projects. We're ready to go. So just prepping for that. Community interactions, you can see April wasn't too much. We got a little bit more in May. And then just moving on to the miscellaneous things. Chief Ventura covered the annual captain's meeting. We had the CERT Foundation blessing for their 2 tankers. I sat in on our hose and nozzle committee meeting, which covers proposals of new hose sizes and some different layouts. So got to sit in on that. Had some recommendations. We acted, and so we will be moving on to making some changes in our department, which in the end, it will be a lot better for our firefighters. We'll be able to provide the same amount of flow using a smaller diameter hose, which makes it a whole lot lighter for them to operate. Also sat in our R&D, which is our Research and Development Committee. So we have this twice a year. Guys propose items to be researched, and this committee sits down with our administrative staff, presents everything, and we go through our checks and balances and see what can we entertain, what we're not going to entertain. And so that was a good meeting. We have a couple items that was proposed that we're going to move forward with doing some further R&D or start the purchase process on that. Chief Winter covered the leadership training. We also had we have a monthly battalion chief meeting, which we sit with all of our battalion chiefs, cover any issues going on and anything that we need to pass out from administration down to our BCs, to our guys on the line. And then Chief Zach might cover this, but we did take delivery of our new lifeguard tower for McKenna State Beach Park. That is all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Thank you. Operations.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I will be presenting in lieu of Fire 3, Chief Alexander Parker. And so also we'll be covering April and May. So for significant incidents, we had 8 over the last 2 months. A few I'd like to highlight was on April 22nd, we had a missing fisherman in Honokaʻi Valley. That why I particularly like to highlight this incident is because we did have to do a pickoff technique with our rescue helicopter. And it was interesting because normally we have the BK, but when the BK goes through servicing and whatnot, we still have to utilize our old helicopter. So this just shows the capability of our rescue company to be able to adapt and use our old systems that we used previously and our old techniques. On 4/24, unfortunately, we did respond to a structure fire with a fatality. That was with engine 11, and it is challenging when you go through these. And then in follow up with our EMS, we had found that both our engine company, medics as well, had numerous contacts with this patient and had referred him with the Office of Aging for further support. But sometimes you just see these challenges in dealing with elderly and try to assist them. But unfortunately, this did result in a fatality. One thing about this is this was a 6-unit CMU exterior, but shared wall interior, and the initial engine company, which was about 5 minutes away, and then the 2 additional resources were about 12 minutes away, including myself, were able to put out the fire in the fire unit of origin, which could have been a much potentially larger incident. So, and then on 5/8, I'd also like to highlight this because I will be discussing it in my presentation later. We had a 3-day ocean search off of Kaanapali Beach for a missing swimmer. Unfortunately, we were unable to locate the swimmer, and we focused on that incident with both our resources and U.S. Coast Guard over our 72-hour search. Moving on to fire training. In April, we began our new quarter, which is when we roll out basically how we want to address training over the next 3 months. We did focus on EMR, Wildland, Rescue Boat initial certifications. We also held an Officer 1 and an Instructor 1 course. And then really cool what we did this quarter was we finished and blessed the JTC. I know some of you participated with the repaving, and we're able to roll out at the end of May fire ground operations training. So we're able to bring in our incumbents for the first time in a little bit because the necessary adjustments had to be made to our facility. But we're able to put them through different kind of hose evolutions, hose maneuvering, especially when you look at line of duty death reports. Oftentimes that is attributed in structure fires to hose mismanagement. So being able to bring our firefighters back in and put them through tighter spaces, confined spaces, changing floors, going up and down different floors in our props, I think it was a very beneficial program, and the feedback for it was just outstanding. The firefighters all really loved it. I know Chief did touch on NextGen, but I just want to highlight how impressive this is that fire admin kind of spearheaded and developed this program. When you look at recruitment across the country, the fire service is really running into challenges. They really are. So for us to be able to develop this grow your own strategy and really bring in 16 to 21-year-olds and show them, because a lot of what the modern fire service does nowadays is misunderstood. A lot of people think it is still just putting out fires. So being able to bring in and put them also through initial certifications like CPR, some basic first aid, but show them what the culture of the fire service is and build that interest. I think it's really what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for success here within Maui Fire. So again, kudos to admin for that program. For community and multi-agency, we had numerous outreach, including with local culture clubs, faith-based groups, Cub Scouts, and also with schools, especially as the school year came to a close. And then miscellaneous, some of the bigger things we have going on is currently we have a cache of new portable radios, 2 companies that we're looking at, and we're basically rotating those radios throughout our station so that all our online personnel can get a feel and give us feedback. When you look at the individual cost for a radio and the turnover, we usually change over our radio model every 10 to 12 years. So this is kind of a big important decision that we'd like to include all our line to be able to participate. On May 5th, Central Dispatch did transition from their old CAD system to their new. So this also gave us a chance, as Chief Fujioka mentioned, we have our monthly BC meeting. In one of our meetings toward the end of last year, I apologize, can't remember which one, we were able to sit down with all the battalion chiefs and kind of iron out some of the challenges we're seeing as far as response with Central Dispatch and assigning the right unit complement and the right resources based on district boundaries. So with the new rollout of their system on May 5th, we've been able to really test out how their system is working and improve our operations. And then the last thing is, I know also we did this, MEMA mentioned, but we also had in April, we had a large state level hazmat training and exercise. For us, especially for our line members, often this training brings in just not only Maui Fire, but Maui Police. It brings in our state level hazmat team, which is a military team based out of Oahu. Oftentimes in the past, they've also brought partner agencies from the other islands, such as Kauai Fire, Hawaii County Fire, Hawaii County Police. They've also brought in FBI, DLNR. So it really gives our line personnel the chance to interact and see on a large scale incident how all the pieces can be put together effectively. So I know that is something for us as battalion chiefs, and then for our line members, we kind of look forward to that annual training. And that sums up the Assistant Chief of Operations report, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Chief, any questions regarding operations?
Yes, I have one, and I guess more of a comment than anything. In terms of recruitment, I mean, everywhere here on the island, we don't want anyone to go away. It's harder to keep, with the fires especially. The building trades have done a great job in getting the youth in the high schools, Lahaina Luna and all the other ones. My question would be, because, and I do know, being a transplant from California, they had programs in either the junior colleges or community colleges or UH here at Maui. Is there like a coordinated program that you can get, or is that more state level, that you can do to expose, these younger adults into a career, like you said, Chief, it's not just putting fires out, right? It's the whole thing. And I don't know, is that an avenue that could be explored, or is that basically, either a state or someone else to do?
Yes, Commissioner, that's a great question. So some of the programs that have been in place, spearheaded by other organizations, for example, there is a local nonprofit that hosts a similar kind of orientation to firefighting week, and they target, I want to say, high schoolers more, correct?
Up to 30 years old.
Oh, up to 30, okay, so late high schoolers. But yeah, so there's that kind of program. As far as colleges, and California?
Yes.
California is a great example of where you see the highest level of success, in my estimation, where you have tech schools and you have trade programs embedded in community colleges that basically feed the fire departments. What you can do over there is you can do your initial training, such as Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, and EMT. That's kind of like the base level certifications you need to be a firefighter. They do those through the collegiate curriculum, through the different trade schools. And then what that does is it puts them in a pipeline to apply to and get hired to different departments. Where that also supports the fire departments is because that curriculum is standardized across the state. It gives them, they know that whoever completes this and comes into their tower, which is the name for their academy, will already have a foundation, not only a foundation, but a standardized foundation across the state. So what that also allows them is it allows them to come in with a standardized recruit, and then they can focus their towers on their specific department nuances. Now for Hawaii, what we have is we currently have two community colleges, Hawaii Community College and Honolulu Community College, that do have an associate's in applied science for fire and emergency services. So basically their version of what could look like a feeder program, which is, so they do within their training, so it's a 2-year degree, but they also do Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, and EMT Basic. Just from knowing some of the people that are involved with the program, some of the challenges we're seeing, and I think this is also a geographical thing because Hawaii is isolated. It pushes people into different careers based on what is available in the state if they want to stay home. If they want to work a specific job, oftentimes they have to leave. With that said, some of the things I've noticed, and chiefs, if you guys have input as well, is especially with the 2 tech programs right now, the 2 associates programs, is they're seeing a decline in enrollment, a decrease in enrollment, and a decrease in interest, where they're starting to pull back the number of classes because they don't have enough enrollment for the program. So yeah, that's so now on a larger level, how could it look? Ideally, we could move towards a system like California where we have more technical colleges. Even one here at UH Maui could be ideal, where candidates can go in, they can complete their associate's degree, they can have Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, EMT, and then not unlike California, that could be a feeder program to staff our departments here. What would it take to get there? I think that's a long answer, but it's not impossible. I think, for example, I'll give the challenge that we have here at UH Maui College is the chancellor here, Louis. He would be very pleased to start a fire science program, and we've had conversations with him over the last 15 years or so. The challenge is finding somebody that can actually run the program here. It's been hard finding somebody that can commit to putting together a program that could be a feeder for our department. So so to your point though, that you're spot on, and that is something that we have been working on for a long time, and ideally I would like to see at some point in the future come to full fruition.
Great. And I mean, I guess one other thing that you just pointed out, if we're bringing back a lot of the previous knowledge of retired, chiefs, assistant chiefs, maybe they might be wanting to help create that program because, like I said, even though I'm a transplant, I live here now and dedicated to this community. And I feel that to keep more of, I guess, Maui Nui is Maui Nui and from Molokaʻi and Lanai, it might help everyone. And so maybe that's an idea as well, but thank you.
For sure. Thank you for your comment. And Commissioner Montalvo just brought up a good point is the model you just spoke of is what is part of the success for Honolulu Community College is they have the person that runs the entire program was also a transplant. It was a retired wildland firefighter from the West Coast, but to fill out his staff, he uses retired HFD and Fed Fire for the Honolulu Community College program. So you're spot on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mahalo.
I'll kind of add just a little bit. One of the barriers in Hawaii oftentimes is finances. And so if you're basically going to apply to any one of the county fire departments and be accepted, we're going to give you all that training in our academy. So our academy is 5.5 months. It includes the Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2 certifications. So a lot of kids might not be inclined to going and paying for schooling, knowing that they can get it for free. However, Honolulu Fire Department runs 2 different recruit classes. They run a full class, and then they run a partial class if you have your certs. So what they'll do is they'll categorize all those people that came through the community college system, and they'll bring them into one specific class. Now they can have a hybrid class, and they're out in several months versus half a year. So there, it is working okay. Maui just doesn't have the volume right now.
Yeah. Okay, mahalo.
Question about the NextGen program. Is that a like an off-the-shelf sort of national program, or is it something developed locally?
Developed locally for sure.
We developed it ourselves. It's you know, the junior label has one label. The Firefighter Explorer program has a very youthful connotation with it. So if you look across athletics throughout the nation, whether it be soccer, baseball, or whatever, NextGen seems to kind of be the theme that people are using. So we named ours the NextGen Firefighter Program, and it's basically 16 to 21-year-olds are targets. If the class is small, we might go outside of those areas, but we really want to get youth and young adults involved who are going to be pretty ready to go here shortly.
And so what do they, is it like an Explorer then? They get.
It is a 1-week program right now.
Oh, 1 week.
It's a 1-week program right now. And as Chief Kino mentioned, a couple of certifications, CPR and whatnot, Firehouse Life, some, you know, hose pulls. I would really like to get to the point. Like I said, this is our first go at it, so we're going to see how it goes, see how much we can absorb with the size of our current training bureau. Because if there was a recruit class going on right now, you know, they'd be like kind of double dipping the staff a little bit, right? So this is our first go at it. I'd like to get to a point where we're taking them into live fire, but of course now we have different liability waivers, we have fit testing, we have float, we have all these other things that need to happen in that short period of time. So in due time, we'll work that way.
I think the target age group is critical because we have a lot of kids, or I mean, I got kids that graduate high school a couple years. They come out of high school, they graduate. They're unsure what they want to do. Some of them go to college, but some of them they're working. But you know, a ton of them say, "Hey, uncle, like doing fire. Think about being a firefighter." So that's that age you kind of want to target. It's like right at that high school senior, just graduated, because they're unsure what they want to do with their life. So it's a kind of a good age to like get them in, and because I still gotta get them interested, and they still gotta take the civil service test, but. I think that's a critical age point.
Well, that's great. Any other questions about operations for Chief Kino? All right. Support services. Subo.
All right. I know you guys are looking forward to the 40-hour excitement. But I guess starting with fire prevention. We have some plan review numbers, inspection numbers on the top. You can look through those, happy to answer any questions. For fire investigation, we had 3 fire investigations, all 3 structures. 2 were accidental and 1 was incendiary. For public education, we have a list of public education events that happens. On the second page, you can see like 518, 519, there was a lot of deliveries from Chick-fil-A and ice cream parties. That was for the firefighter safety guides. It's for 100% completion. And this year, Chick-fil-A partnered with us to give the entire class a meal that had 100%. And then the ice cream parties were donated from Maui and soda and ice. Some trainings happened. Guess highlights 5/20, 27, 28. We did an internal fire investigation training to train all the staff at fire prevention. The plan is we currently have 4 people on standby and planning to add at least 2 to 4 more on rotation. So those 2 to 4 still have to have their task book signed off, meaning I think they have like 3 or 4 observations that they shadow before they can become a lead investigator. Community events. 5/6, we had ICC come down and meet with all department heads. The fire marshal, I think one member from ICC that works in Austin, Texas, and someone from Headwaters Economics came down that helped with our Furwig program that Kate Blystone is running. Kate Blystone, I mentioned her last meeting. She is the county's coordinator for Wildfire now. Previously, the planning director. Moving on. Yes, going into health and safety. One big highlight we discussed was our physical exams. Went out to bid. Company Pacific something won the bid. We've been working with them for about a month to try to make it happen. And recently they just said they can't do it. So just yesterday I contacted the other company, 1582, that did it the previous years, and they're able to do it. So we need to rush that, and that will start in August. Moving on, next page. CIP, no significant highlights there. And then other notable highlights on the bottom. WUI Wildfire Working Group, that's ongoing. That was a plan of 12 schools that were considered priority WUI schools. And State Fire Department, MEMA, and Fire Marshal is working on those schools, going to schools, clearing vegetation, and educating the schools on home hardening strategies. So you can see 511, they did a follow-up assessment results for Paia School and 514 Lahaina High School. And then I kind of talked about the ICC visit, and Kono mentioned that we had a meeting 2 days ago to present the WUI Code. And a little bit about that, the WUI Code covers defensible space and home hardening strategies. That is, I guess, to reduce ember ignitions. So right now, the fire department has our fuel break plan and our brush abatement plan. So we cover clearance from vegetation to structures to eliminate the direct flame contact and the radiant heat. But the missing piece was that ember ignition. How are we going to do that? So this WUI Code is going to bring that to our county. And we can share more about that as we move forward. But then that in the report.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Chief Otsubo?
Chair, I have a question. Chief, so going back to the WUI code.
Yes.
An international code.
Yeah, it's ICC code. This is a brother sister to the IFC, IBC. It's a code, standalone code to bring in all of those mitigation efforts for wildfire.
Oh, based on wildfire.
Yeah.
So not every jurisdiction has a Wildland Urban Interface code. And so we wanted to make sure we adopt mayor's support early before we go down a year or two project, and then he then understands the impact of this. So we're at the early stages. There's been a lot of studies by Headwaters Economics to identify the cost to each home. We also can say this can just be for new construction. And then we can look for programs to finance retro through grants. There's a ton of moving parts here. And we're gonna basically create and look at how big of a code we want, and then we're going to kind of cherry pick. Here's what we're going to start with. This is how we're going to grow it. These are the first 5 years of how it's going to move through Maui County. And like Tubo was saying, one of the main things is that the space around your home. We already know how compact our lots are, how close our houses are, but that 0 to 5 feet space around your home is the part where we're potentially going to want people to clean up vegetation, storage, because that's where those embers will sit and ignite and then ignite the homes. And so that's why this is a big county policy change. And so therefore we wanted to make sure we have mayor on board first, and then next would be start talking to council members.
That's awesome. And the reason that I mention it is because, I mean, I'm always hesitant when I see international code. I mean, it's bad enough, I mean, good that we're keeping it at the county level. Hard enough when you get the state involved, the national thing. Then when you're talking international stuff, we're gonna be left behind.
And then last week I went to Sacramento, was invited to Sacramento Lakeview County or something. So they adopted the WUI code and they wanted to show us how they're implementing that, how they're retrofitting homes. But I'll save that story for the next meeting.
No, but you guys, just to, comment on that, but you guys are on the right track, finding what's out there, coming down and then keeping it at our level. Yeah.
I imagine it would be sort of specific to communities and proximity to the, urban wildlife. So that defensible space might mean something different when you're right on the edge of, no development, right, at all, versus something that is, much more internal.
So on that note, what we've discovered basically is the WUI can come about a mile into a city. So that when you look at a huge city that's 15 miles across, the WUI is a 1 mile perimeter around that city. We don't have very many 3 mile cities. So we're good, but to your point, we're gonna have to create a risk map that identifies what Maui County is defining as the WUI and start there. Because you're totally right, you're spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, commissioners? All right, thank you. Chief Edlund.
Right. Ocean safety report for the month of May. We want to talk about the first bullet point, drowning injury prevention advisory committee. This committee was established a while ago and it died out, and they're trying to reestablish it again. So they play a big part in minimizing injury and drowning in Hawaii. So this is from the works. There are several meetings that we kind of go to establish members and all that. I'm watching with them also. Another bullet point I want to talk about, which Chief Endure covered too, is the Water Safety Day. So May 15th is Water Safety Day for all of Hawaii. So keep that in mind for next year. And another bullet point is Maui Safety Steering Team meeting. That's with risk management. It's all department heads, basically to go over HIOSH and what we can do to mitigate citations and make sure for compliance. So what we're doing for ocean safety now, we just started looking into it, is implementing checklists with our watchtower data collection, with simple things that we know that we check off, which includes fire extinguisher, the monthly fire extinguisher inspections, and making sure our lights and all that. So it's work in progress right now to input that in our watchtower program. Make it simplified for ocean safety. We open up one program that covers everything throughout the day. It's on one platform versus jumping on different platforms and goes through to paper, so all electronic. Also want to talk about what Chief Fujioka mentioned was a McKenna Lifeguard Tower. So we did get the McKenna Lifeguard Tower. It's currently at prep slot over by the airport. We just got the stickers put on, and today Harmer is actually removing the PA system, the solar system at the old tower at the beach. I'll be contacting Public Works after this meeting to see when we can start the process of doing the switch out. Hopefully we can get that in soon within the next few weeks. So McKenna will have a brand new setup. We do also have in play contract for the second tower that'll be at the second entrance. But I believe it's about 18 months, right, to deliver. So that's work in progress. So that's a big step for us. Next on the community events is junior lifeguard. So on the 23rd, we had our swim assessment for our junior lifeguard, which started June 1st. So there are over 500 kids signed up for Maui County. I will have a more exact number of how much participants, because some might not show up as the program goes on, but I'll probably have that to you in August. It runs through mid-August, so there's well over 500 kids, and still, it's hard to accept all because of span of control, but the junior lifeguard program throughout Hawaii is huge for our kids. There's a lot of interest in it. Next, we're at trainings. We have our quarterly trainings, which is vector solutions, and of course, our USLA training for the month of May, which will consist of the 500-meter swim and 10 minutes or less, which is a fun little challenge. When it comes to physical stuff, a lot of people, they like to test each other in the group, and it's like a little peacock exhibition going, so which is good. Which is our guys. The back, the next page, you'll find a comprehensive report. This is a breakdown of all the incidents and summarize everything we go over. And the next pages that follow is more specific. You turn to the next page, you see the beach attendance. What we have from 2025 versus 2026, so you can see a difference if you look at the end bar, what the totals are. Show that people are going to the beach, there's a lot more people, it's growing, so during sport beach activities, it boosted up since COVID. There's more people going. With that, you can expect more injuries and rescues. One below, you saw the rescues right now instead of 212 compared to 182 previous. Following page is the rescue water propaganda. You can see side-by-side totals from 2025 versus 2026. Preventive actions. It shows what our manpower, what our guys are doing. Following page is the public contacts. You can see the number, how it grows. Medical assist below that. In 2026, right now we're at about 136, a little less than previous year, which is good. The lower number of rescues is better for us. Ambulance assist as well. We had a little decrease from this year compared to last year, which is, like I said, it's good. The lower the number for the more preventive action, better for us. Drownings, below that, we're at 7 compared to 8 last year. The last page is the wildlife. So, sharks behaving this month. All good. Keep it at that. So, we've been reading the site, we've been following the instructions. Yeah. I'm open to any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Question on the new McKenna Tower.
Yes.
Is it the same, just a new one, or is there any upgrade?
It's a new tower, a little different design, but it's the same size. It's built a little better than this one. We actually have a roof that overhangs. The old way, the flaps would go up when it rains, it just drips in. And now there's an actual roof, so it looks a lot better designed with this one. Kind of wait to get it in. Yeah, it's really nice.
The Watchtower software that Ocean Safety has been using for about a year now.
Yes.
Yeah. Has been helpful in multiple. It's a good gathering point for them. And I just made the news the other day, but Honolulu Ocean Safety just started it this week. So they're now on board as well. That would be a good way for you guys to share information.
It is. We can sleep and peek and look at all of our, because we are able to look at each other. It's a great one platform for all Hawaii County. It's able to pull up a lot of this data, like this information. Commissioner Ball on it side by side. It helps on a little bit easier to pull up versus the old one. It captures a lot more information and it's still growing. Like all of our apparatus checklists, everything is on there, and now adding monthly checklists. There's room for growth and good data collection. So we love it, and it's easy to use. Just it's easy to use.
The question about, so the drownings, they're all at non-guarded beaches,
All in on there.
every single one, is that right? I guess that is sort of ongoing, working with tourism and everything.
It's an issue for all Hawaii, unguarded beaches, the beaches that we have, people can come to us and we can educate them. Like I said, a lot of people, they don't know, they just go in, they don't understand currents, which proves the fact that the contacts makes a difference at every beach throughout Hawaii. So it's a non-guarded beaches, how do we get information? And if you go back to the first page, we get DIPAC, Hawaiian Lifeguard Association, the Water Safety Coalition, their efforts to educate and get this out to those areas. If we put lifeguards there at the beach, but that's beyond my control. But now, it's education, how we can get the information to the people so they know. And again, it's the people. You go to the beach, that they're not talking about me. I'm not that person. And you come to turn out you're that person.
Yeah.
What can we do? Just educate and do our best to try.
There was a little bit of movement on that meeting we had with Hawaii Tourism Authority and Maui Tourism. They're trying to look for volunteers on high risk days where the surf is up to kind of plant them at beaches that we're not at, so that they can be eyes and ears, and they'll wear a shirt like, beach safety, I'm not expert, but information here. Because like the Pili Bay, for example, we might go there 3 or 4 times in one day, to do rescues and pull people out of the water. But if we could just place somebody there as a volunteer, they can do public education and keep people safe.
Okay, great. All right, time for our guest presenter.
All right, so I'll give you folks a little bit of background. Chief Kino has spoken with us this morning already, but he has over 24 years of service with our department. What we asked him to do is kind of give you a snapshot of what a potential day in the life of a battalion chief could look like, and all the responsibilities from personnel to organization, structure, strategic decisions based on training, manpower, classes, drug testing, whatever else gets thrown their way. He's also a very important part of the development of our leadership program in our department. We've always had these CAN programs that came from the national level, Officer 1, Instructor 1, Investigator 1. But Maui is very unique. The way we do things is very unique, and we want people to learn what we do in our department. So I don't know what the count is now, but I'm pretty sure he's well over nearing a couple hundred of our firefighters going through the leadership program to teach our, especially firefighter 3 level middle management people, what to expect and how to be prepared for when they become a captain. So he and his team of about 6 other instructors have created a great program to kind of bring up and mentor those next level employees. And so today he's going to talk about what his day job sounds like.
Yeah.
Chief, over to you.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you, Commission, for having me. Thank you, MEMA and MFD leadership as well. So at our May Battalion Chief meeting, Fire Admin asked for a volunteer to come in, give a briefing on the life of an MFD Battalion Chief. I was the only Battalion Chief that was not at that meeting. No. When I was asked, I was very happy, very pleased to do it. So for myself, and again, thank you, Chief, for the introduction. I've been with MFD. I make myself and Chief Otsubu, we make 24 years in next week, 2 weeks. Yeah, and I just started my 8th year as a Battalion Chief on June 1st. Within my time since being promoted to Battalion Chief in June of 2019, I've worked with 18 different BCs, 7 different assistant chiefs as well as Fire 1 and Fire 2, several through 2 administrations. And the mentoring goes up and down. I've learned as much as I've shared, and it's been being able to have the opportunity to learn from that many different styles and that many different experiences has been just tremendously beneficial to my career.
Glad I could help.
Within all the iterations I've gone through as a battalion chief, I would say that, and this is in no small part due to MFD admin's guidance and leadership, this is the strongest and most cohesive group we've had as a battalion chief cohort in my time as a BC. So yeah, coming up with trying to describe a standard or typical day as a BC is tough because our role from day to day requires so much flexibility. We have a definitive responsibility in administrative tasks, but at the forefront is always our operational responsibility. So I'll get a little bit more to how I try and structure my week later, but basically everything I try and do, or we try and do, is based around 3 pillars. So first is creating a culture of safety, ensuring department level safety protocols protect our personnel, because there is no iteration where any of our personnel should get hurt on a call. That is the number one responsibility we have as kind of that point position for operations on a day-to-day basis. Second is vision conduit. So we are where we sit just under MFD admin. We're in direct contact where Chief Ventura, Chief Fujioka, the 2 assistant chiefs can translate what their vision and their goals are for the department directly to us face to face. And then we in turn take that directly to operations. So being that conduit to see that the guidance, their goals is being carried out as they envision to our membership and to our operations, in our case as BC, operations BCs. And then development, a huge part is when you arrive at the battalion chief level, it is commonly understood that you're going to be later in your career. So a huge focus of what we do has to always be at the front of our minds is giving back, leading, taking every opportunity to develop personnel, because what we don't share, we leave with, and then that gets lost. So I'll try and get into the typical day. So first we start at 0 serve at 30 hours, and I call this the sprint. For that first hour, our main goal is, as the oncoming BC, is doing a good shift brief with the offgoing BC. It is also balancing our staffing, our personnel staffing, what we typically refer to as manpower, but our personnel staffing. And then both battalions will shift change here at Kāhakuloa. So what that does is that gives us the advantage. We have 6 operations BCs. Every morning, 2/3 of our BCs, 4 of the 6 BCs will meet together. With that is Fire 3 also comes and meets with us on business days, Monday through Friday, comes and meets with us as well. So we have our chief of operations speaking directly with 4 of our BCs every morning, Monday through Friday. So if there is any strategic misalignment, if there are questions that are coming up, battalion level challenges or misalignment between watches, offgoing watch, oncoming watch, this gives a chance for 4 BCs as well as our boss to kind of hash out and discuss these problems. So it has led to definitely improved strategic alignment, because in the past our BCs have, this is a 3rd location we've tried. We've also switched out within station. So I'm assigned to Lahaina station. That's where I used to switch out, or that's where the BCs previously switched out. And then they also previously switched out at Wailuku station. So this is the third iteration, and I think by far the most successful. You see this picture over here, and earlier when I did the Chief of Operations brief, I mentioned May 8th, we did a 72-hour search. So for example, I came in on day 2 to assume command of that incident, and I shift changed with BC5, who is Battalion Chief Reza Asmin. So he was the day 1. He was the off-going battalion chief. I came on, and so this is what he shared with me of the search patterns that they had accomplished the day before. So when we have large incidents, a big part of our morning shift change, along with managing our staffing, is passing on information so we can have as seamless a transition as possible on significant incidents. So when you hear Chief Parker brief on our significant incidents, this is a perfect example of what's going on behind the scenes between the battalion chiefs trying to manage and information download everything that is necessary for that type of incident. So staffing complexity, because Maui County is so lucky to have a minimum staffing of 4 personnel, and we can base all of our operations around that. That introduces for us the need to ensure that our companies are correctly staffed. So for myself in Battalion 2, I have 8 companies and I have 4 different staffing models. So Wailuku Engine is a 7-person company, six minimum. We have Lahaina Engine, Kaunakakai Engine, and Lanai Engine are 6-person companies with 5-person minimums. We have Lahaina Ladder, Ho'olehua Engine, and the Pili Engine are 5-person companies with 4 minimum. And then Puko'o Engine is a 3-person company with 3-person minimum. So even managing that, each company has its own unique needs and staffing minimums that we have to meet. That's the first challenge. The second is for myself, and it also applies to Battalion 1 because they have a geographically isolated unit in Hana, Engine 7, is we have to balance being able to move and shift personnel to meet our minimum coverage between islands. So I get to also play travel agent a few days a week. For example, in the past shift, Lanai was short because they had a person on vacation and they had a person that had sick leave. So what that does is when we come in the morning, we have to look if we have additional personnel at one of our other apparatus. In this case, Lahaina Ladder was going to be at 5 staffing for all 3 days, so they could work with a 4 minimum. So we're able to relocate that person from the Lahaina Ladder to go work on the Lanai Engine for 3 days. But so in that now we also have considerations with travel. So I booked travel through Lanai Expeditions. I booked air travel through to Molokaʻi before, through Honolulu when Molokaʻi has had challenging air travel. The other thing too is if we move a personnel, because we have 2 different schedules, we have our Kelly schedule that most of our companies run on, but then 2 of our companies also run on a 3-6. So if we're shifting personnel from one schedule to the other, we also have to work with the union to get approval for them to go through a shift change. So within that, yeah, it can get challenging for both battalions, myself and Battalion 1. So the 3-island challenge is, Maui County is so unique in this case. One of the things I did when I first came on as a BC is I tried to look at, well, where else do they do this? And what do those models look like? And if you were to do a search, you may find a few. I found San Juan Fire Protection District in Washington State, St. John's in Southern Florida, but there's only a small handful of fire departments that service islands that are separated that have to travel between water or air travel. So because of that, when you look at the area that we cover, and that's including the channels, Pailolo, between the different islands, it can be very challenging. So for myself as a BC stationed in West Maui, coordinating travel to another island for a significant incident. So if Molokaʻi suddenly pops off with a 1,000-acre brush fire, how do I not only get myself, but get additional resources to an island that only has 3 companies? So when you look at the model of what an engine tanker can fight on a brush fire, our geographically isolated companies quickly exceed that. This picture right here is a picture from a few years ago when we were able to work with our AutoX cadre and take all their equipment over. So this is right by Manila Camp. So as you pass Kalamaʻula, Manila, and then you kind of get in towards Kaunakakai. So we're able to kind of take a package there and run them through a full AutoX where they could practice vehicle education training. So span of control. The little bit of the history of the battalion chief position on Maui is it was established, I'm not going to pick any line, but correct me if I'm wrong, was in the late 80s. And it was looked at more as an expansion of the role of the fire chief and deputy fire chief to have a shift commander. So it wasn't necessarily based around span of control, it was based, so we have a shift commander for all 24/7 operations. After 9/11 and a lot of the different skills and knowledge were developed in ICS, it came to realize that the role of battalion chief should be based around span of control versus as a single shift commander. So that's where in 2009, our department had the foresight and we rolled out our 2nd battalion, which is where I now work. So currently, our department, we have 18 companies divided by 2 battalion chiefs. So we're still working towards, and this is a long-term goal, but how we can further increase our span of control. A huge thing that I'm sure you guys are familiar with as being commissioners, that fire admin successfully put through the budget process and had approved in expansion positions was our BC8. So our BC8 came into effect last October-ish. And what this does is it gives us a support personnel that expands our capabilities. Now, when you look at, and I'll be the first to confess that I was a skeptic of us including a BC aide within our department, because when you look at the traditional BC aide, battalion chief aide, as it is used in other jurisdictions, it is often seen in jurisdictions where there is a heavy response capability. So, for example, where jurisdictions that have a BC8 are usually where battalion chiefs will usually go on 4 to 5 bona fide significant incidents in a single shift. So the BC8 alleviates all that operational weight that the battalion chief carries. If you look in Honolulu, for example, they have an aide that is strictly a driver. Their aide that simply drives them around. It's a firefighter. It's not a ranked position. So where I think Maui County can be a leader nationwide, really, in developing this position is our BC8 functions as an administrative operational hybrid and is a ranked position. So our BC8 really operates like no other place you see, and it has been hugely successful so far. So monthly breakdown, we work roughly 10 days a month, 1 out of every 3 days. So for myself, what I try and shoot for is meetings, briefings, MFD representation. I'll end up doing 1 or 2 days a month. For example, yesterday while I was on duty, we also had a quarterly meeting. I sit on a community advisory group for Hawaiian Telcom. So Sue Shan and her team, they fly over and they meet with community partners so they can share with us their rollout of fiber ops throughout the state and how we can support that, especially what they're doing. One of the things came up yesterday is within the next few months is they're ending their 140-year copper legacy system. What that does when we look at our rural communities, people that know I gotta have my landline. Nope, I gotta keep my landline. Is we have to figure out ways to reach these communities to have them understand we have to transfer over to fiber op because this is going to go away. So refresher training as well. So for ourselves as BCs, we're responsible to maintain our operational capabilities. So there's minimum certifications, firefighter level certifications that we have to keep as well. 1 or 2 days, I'll also lead formal instruction. So Chief Intro mentioned I teach a few of our certification courses. In May, we taught one of those courses. So I taught that course 2 of my on-duty days to around 4 p.m. And then I go to the station after, and then I finish my regular duties. Field operations. So what we do is monitor. We also go to our companies that fall under our area of responsibility, and we train with them. We watch them drill. We empower our captains to design a drill, and then oftentimes we'll also surprise them and run drill to kind of see and gauge where they're at spontaneously, just as if they were to receive an incident. So this was from a couple of years ago, but this is our ladder company practicing standpipe operations. It's about if we stay right up the back or behind them. And then, so a large part, as I mentioned, when you move from being a captain, for example, and leading a single company to the chief officer role is the administrative task load exponentially increases, to say the least. So some of the things I do on a day-to-day basis, this could take anywhere from 2 hours. Sometimes it takes 10, 11 hours, depending on what time it is in the month. Is payroll due? Is workday needing to be completed? What was the complexity of our reports? Can take a vast amount of time. So for example, systems, daily management, we use Workday to manage our employee leave requests as well as their payroll. First due is how we track our staffing and our incidents on a day-to-day basis. And then inflow is how we track our inventory. So for example, first due is we'll use first due to look at our staffing. We'll look at who is on vacation, who is filling in for certain slots. And then on a day-to-day basis, Maui Fire responds to 40 to 45 incidents a day. So between that, I'll usually have about 20. Battalion 1, because Battalion 1 has 10 companies, usually has about 25. So that'll generate 20 reports that I'm also responsible for going through and checking and reviewing for accuracy before they're submitted. So leave requests as well. Each battalion has a minimum has a maximum, allowance of vacation requests so that we can make sure that we can cover our minimum staffing. If we allow too many vacations, we would not have personnel to pull and move between companies for unanticipated shortages. And then again, leadership is a big one, negotiating interpersonal dynamics. This is a big part of building culture and developing your subordinates. But what we try and encourage is our personnel to settle things at the appropriate level. So if this is between a company, solve it at the company level, exercise those skills. If you need support, I can support you, I can advise you, and I will, but also understand that when it exceeds the captain's duties of the captain's knowledge to address, that's when you can go to the battalion chief. Often for us, for battalion chiefs, what we'll see is if there's anything coordination between watches, that's where we can help solve as well, because we don't want to leave that to different companies to address where you're having equal ranks trying to negotiate. That's when we would also step in. So, and then of course, beyond all this, we respond to calls. So when and why BCs respond, I was actually training one of my TABCs yesterday, and he asked me as a TABC, so a temporary assigned, so if I'm gone and none of the other BCs fill my role, a captain would step into my role for the shift. When should he take command on an incident versus when do I take command of an incident? Mm-hmm. So one of the clear benchmarks is for significant incidents that are in the Assistant Chief of Operations monthly report. How I like to look at it is a company officer is responsible to run a company. So anytime you have more than one unit and it is an incident of significance, I like to step in and take command. Because while you can train, company officers can train, there's a vast amount of knowledge that is showing that a company leading in an incident, you make exponential growth over leading through training. So if I'm pulling a company officer to run a brush fire and his firefighters are kind of doing their own thing, they lose that mentoring process where the company officer is directly with them here, maneuver the hose like this, focus on this area for these reasons. If we focus on this area, that stops the fire progression here. And I think that's a very important piece for company officer development. For him, I suggested because he would be filling the role of a battalion chief in a temporary duty, his goal should be to take over command for any significant incident with multiple companies. For myself, I like to, as a chance for growth and that, that plant trying to find sun is I kind of engage the individual event to allow my captain to stay in command and challenge him a little bit more so he can start to already develop battalion chief level skills. So that's also part of the mentoring process on scene. So, but as a baseline, multi-agency or multi-jurisdictional response, technical or air operations, significant incidents, and then also where liability is involved. So a big thing I tell my captains is, you let me know so I can absorb that. When they say, why did you do this? I had approval from my battalion chief. So that's also for us to develop a relationship with our captains so they understand the way we process information on scenes so they can have a sound decision-making process. And when that decision-making process exceeds their knowledge, we can step in and assume that role for them. So Chief Parker mentioned I should just highlight some cool incidents that I thought that you'd benefit. So this was a fire a couple of years ago, just before the August 8th fires, a few months before. So this was the view from the Honolulu Pi'ilani Highway. This is up in Kāhakuloa, and it was at the height. We had to it was above Lahaina Luna High School. So none of our apparatus could reach it except for our minis, 2 minis, so with a couple hundred gallons of water, a utility, so a pickup truck, and our tanker 3, which is an off-road tanker. So this is actual view from the fire, from on the fire ground after we had kind of stopped the progress. It was high up there. I was running. And then, so this is also the view from my BC vehicle. And if you look at the speedometer, if you look at the RPM, I'm crawling just to make the scene. And it was blowing about 40 to 45 to 50 miles per hour. So this is what it actually looks like when I'm trying to get. Yeah, you see the speedometer. I'm literally crawling. So this particular fire was very interesting. So at night we called it 75 acres. The next morning, when we were able to see it and measure it, it was 105 acres. But so we put this fire out in 4 hours, and we had no fire apparatus except for a tanker and the 2 minis. So we basically put this fire out with no water, 100 acres in 4 hours. So it shows you that, again, developing that strong relationship with your line personnel, with your captains, what can be achieved, the capability. And man, our firefighters are terrific. I'm going to say it again before I finish, but our firefighters are terrific. I mean, you put out a 100-acre fire with virtually no water. And to give context to this was engine 3, ladder 3, engine 11, and engine 5 we pulled because they had a mini at the time. 3 of those companies were the first 3 companies on scene of August 8th in Lahaina. So other incidents. So this was an incident in Ukumehame. This is my bird's eye view, flying in the kilo. And one of the not challenges, but one of the things we're seeing more is transient encampments and finding the right. There's so many nuances with that. Finding the right way to support transients from our role that we can, right? Referencing them to the right agencies. At the same time, their fires are very dangerous because we have no idea what can go off. This video ended short, but I believe there are propane tanks in here that started just popping off. So, and then finally, this was, if you recognize the area, this is Kupuahi. So this is the warehouses in Emerald Plaza, but this was before August 8th. So this was a structure fire we had in a chocolate factory, actually. Dark chocolate, yeah. Yeah. So in addition to our day-to-day and in addition to responding to incidents, we also have ancillary responsibilities as battalion chiefs. So for example, this is a current model that we're already through the training bureau, we're already developing and moving, even evolving forward from this. But this is the current model that we have our battalion chiefs. So these are all our separate training cadres. So a training cadre, you would see, like, for example, EMR up there, and then CPR. So each of that will have a program director who is responsible for the overall direction of leading that training for the entire department. And then we'll have a cache of 10 to 20 instructors based on the program. And that is each one of those yellow boxes has a designated lead called the program director, and then 10 to 20 instructors under them. So what we did was with the Fire Training Bureau is we divide up the cadres under specific battalion chief, where battalion chief could function as a section lead and mentor the cadres under that section to help better support training, versus training having a span of control of 1 to 30. Now the Training Bureau had a span of control of 1 to 6, where they could lean on the battalion chiefs to support. So for us, we would help instruct, would also host quarterly meetings to help them with direction on what their programs are doing. How does that fit the goals of fire administration? How does that fit any certification goals or required national certifications? And then also, this gave us a chance to, where in the past, program directors had the challenge of trying to meet with the training bureau. It's tough when you have 30, but now this gave them direct insight to a chief officer to always be able to lean on for support. And then on top of that, so that's the training bureau. Each of our battalion chiefs takes on additional ancillary initiatives. And this is just a snapshot of some, this is not all. But for example, Battalion Chief 1, DC1, that's Chief Herrick. He is responsible for development, coordination, and regional partnership briefings, especially as they relate to training in wildfire incidents. So Chief Herrick, for example, in the last year alone has gone to Ontario, has gone to indigenous populations in Minnesota, and has also gone to Texas to train communities in wildland firefighting. So our firefighters here are going to the continent and places abroad to teach them how to fight fires. BC2, for example, has a deep background in technical. He was a long-term rescueman. So we often lean on him to, for example, right now one of our rescue boats needed major repairs, and he could provide technical insight into how the repairs could take place and how the department could approach that, and then support MFD admin that way. Battalion Chief 3, that's Lee Terrells. He is responsible for all post-incident analysis. So when we have a significant incident, it generates a PIA so that we can create a lessons learned, and that those lessons can go to both our training bureau and then can also direct operations to make changes based on what we learned from challenging incidents. So he is responsible for developing all those PIAs with the committee. Myself, I'm currently working on the standards of cover for our department. Battalion Chief 5, Reza Azman, he has been our grants person for the last close to 15 years, I'd say. But yeah, when you think of the acquisition and the importance of grants and grant funding have for an organization like ours, I think the fact alone that we are expanding into a standalone grants position shows you that he's been doing this as part of his job for the last however many years. And then BC6, Chief Fukuda, he is responsible for community risk analyses right now. So that's one of the projects he's working on. So, and again, finally, one thing I want to say is, and I'm not saying this because I'm a battalion chief, but I think the commission, you should be very, very proud of the quality that fire admin has developed in our battalion chiefs. I know, Chair, you said this earlier, and I just want to reemphasize that is our admin is bar none. They're tops in the country, and the quality that they've developed within our battalion chiefs is a reflection of that. So, and again, what it all comes down to, as I mentioned, I've worked 24 years, and all our battalion chiefs are going to be senior members, so all 20 years plus. It's so important that we're training and readying our replacements, because there's such a huge jump from when you go as a fire captain managing a company of 4 to being a battalion chief, and now you're managing 8. You were just a captain, now you're managing at least 8 captains, if not 10. And then that jump is tremendous. There is, well, Fire 1, Fire 2, but yeah, there's not a middle level between that. There's not an intermediary level. You go from being a captain of 4 to managing or being responsible for 45 from one shift to the next. The other thing with that is the administrative changes of being familiar with, as a captain, being familiar with budget, being familiar with warehouse ordering. So now managing those programs and managing a budget and managing warehouse orders, that's where it really comes into not just developing a culture, but being also very deliberate about having structured programs to instruct our captains, but then also allowing the flexibility for our BCs, because as strong as our foundation is as being uniform, I think we all agree that in different organizations we worked in, a lot of our strengths come from our individuality. So a lot of that comes from developing a culture of attitude, a culture of readiness, but then also being comfortable allowing this person to develop, and they may not do it the same as you are, but that you built them in a way that they will act responsibly. And that is my presentation. And feel free, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Well done.
Oh, sorry, you got to exit.
I'm sorry.
We're switching screens here. Hang on a second.
It's okay. So that was a wonderful presentation, and I wish I could stay more, but unfortunately I have a conflict and I'm going to have to leave the meeting now. Okay. All right. So just wanted to thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your month. See you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Please touch one. Any questions for our presenter?
Excellent presentation.
Yeah. Excellent presentation. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything you shared. And what I kind of take from it is, how you spoke about what you do, and then the obvious, pride and satisfaction that comes in fulfilling that role and developing the leaders and being that conduit between the men and what actually happens in the field. I really appreciated that. Learned a lot.
Well, thank you, Chair. I very much appreciate that
for all you do. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one of the things I really appreciate is the mentoring levels that we have in this department, where it's it's encouraged to mentor the people below you, to bring them up. You know, I've been in organizations where, you know, everybody is so scared of teaching somebody something because they're afraid they're going to take their job. And you don't see this here. You don't see that attitude here, and that's really refreshing, and it speaks well to what the department does and how it operates.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think a lot of us in our career who was mentored when we were younger take that to heart. For Chief Ventura and I, we meet with every promotee when they get promoted, and every position that gets promoted, that is one of the first things we tell them is to mentor that younger guys to take your spot, because that's the only way our department can thrive, by mentoring the younger guys to take your spot. I mean, like you said, you can't be afraid of them taking your job. That should be your job, to have them take your job. That's the whole goal, right? Yeah, without that, we cannot be successful, for sure.
All right, folks. Moving on to the last item on our agenda, which is adjournment. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 16th. And yeah, if there's no other business, I would like to take a motion to adjourn our meeting today.
Okay, I'll motion. I'll motion to adjourn.
Motion has been moved by Commissioner Montalvo, and Commissioner Ball seconded the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.
Have a good month.